and Ed were holding down the fort. Item 2.
Did you turn us back on?
Oh, yeah. Are we back on, Gary?
Yes.
Item 2. Patiently waiting has been Phil LePage. Discuss asbestos. Phil LePage discussed asbestos at the Stone School Museum, Historical Society.
Yes, good evening, gentlemen. Welcome aboard, Mr. Forney. Okay, situation. We have a growing mold problem at the Stone School Museum, first floor, second floor, primarily the first floor. In an attempt to mitigate, we considered doing a heavy-duty vinyl vapor barrier in the basement, but when we started looking around in the basement, we have asbestos down there hanging from the old steam system. There's a pile of asbestos around the location of where the steam boiler was. There's some asbestos board down there that was used for insulation, so I basically told everybody to keep out. Rick Mulaski is working on getting at least 3 estimates for removal. I was talking to Val Shelton this evening. She had some work done at Stonehouse Farm, and cost them about $4,500. The situation at the museum, we have a dirt floor, dirt and rock, mostly crawl space. We do have some poured concrete in the area of where the furnace was, but so we're probably looking at an expense of somewhere from $5,000 to $10,000. Interim Administrator Sear was going to be working on a resolution for expenditure release of funds to cover that, but that's where we're at right now. Museum is shut down, all of it's shut down. Steve would like to talk to you about reopening the first 2 floors at some point, but it's no urgency because we have no meeting scheduled until next year now there at that location, so. Questions?
Vice Chair Bentley.
Mr. Forney, do we have, traditionally, is there any insurance can generally?
Liability insurance doesn't cover asbestos removal.
Yeah.
So I was afraid the answer would be, but
Yeah.
worth asking.
Yeah, unilaterally, several years ago, the society removed the asbestos floor tiles that were there, and that was because we had a water pipe break in the course of the winter and the spring turn-on of the water, so that was taken care of. But that's, to the best of my knowledge, that's the only asbestos left in the museum. It's in the basement, so it's pretty isolated, but you need to keep out of there because it's not encapsulated in any shape or form. It's actually dragging on the ground.
A lot of questions. Councilor Branch.
I'm just remembering that we had an issue similar to this up at the rec department about 2 years ago. And I can't recall how we went about funding it, how we went about doing it, but I'm sure it can be researched and figure out. And I'm sure Mr. Hilton would probably be able to tell us exactly how it was done, but I know it shut the place down. It was either a kindergarten or preschool or something that it ended up shutting down. So we might want to look there as far as how the process was.
I think we're going to be looking for funds from Building and Grounds capital reserves, and there should be adequate funds there. I'm thinking, I don't know for sure, but.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's my understanding from talking with finance and the interim administrator. That would be the area that we'd look at, and we'd come back to the council for with the best bid, as well as a resolution to withdraw those funds. So that would be the next step after we receive the bids.
That's the way I was made to understand it, yes, thank you.
Councilor Levy.
Just briefly, because I heard 4,500 or something like that, would we put out an RFP just to get some quotes, or?
That's
Oh.
what we're doing.
Okay, I just.
Rick
wanna
Mulaski is
make
getting
sure.
at least 3,
Okay.
maybe 4 now because I gave him another asbestos abatement
Okay.
outfit.
The reason I asked is because you said it was 4,500, so I didn't know if there had already been a.
Yeah, Val mentioned that her estimates
Oh, I
ran
get it.
from
Okay.
4,500 to 12,000, so they were
Got
all
it.
over the board. But
Thank you.
Councilor Zink.
Plead a little bit of ignorance here in the Historical Society. How does the Historical Society get funds from the town? Or what is the financial relationship between the Historical Society, the building, and the town?
Okay, the town owns the building now. It was granted to the Historical Society years ago, and when the society could no longer afford the insurance on it, it reverted to the town. We sold it back to the town for $1. And there's a back and forth thing going on now. Clearly, the last quote that society independently got for insurance on the property was $4,000. We could not sustain that. The town is giving us now $2,000 a year. We're using that plus our membership funds to heat the place. So with a one gas heater on the first floor, so. So did that,
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I don't want to make a big subject out of this, but I mean, if that relationship seems to be in peril, I think we ought to be addressing it up front.
Yeah.
If we're just leading to the path where the finances aren't going to work out with the Historical Society, I think we ought to put a game plan together.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just for clarification, I'm not sure, I mean, my understanding is that they sold the building to us for $1. We must have some rental or lease agreement back with the Historical Society, use that building, and in return, since we're the owner of the building, we insure it under our liability, and would have to maintain it with the removal of the asbestos. I'm not sure if I'm missing something.
yeah, we've been taking care of all of the other expenses like roof
Okay.
replacement and plumbing and heating, so.
Okay.
This is just one big chunk that the society can't just swallow all at once, so.
And my point simply is, if this is just the first of many occasions
Yep.
where affordability is going to become an issue, I think we ought to address it in some kind of solid way, either a CIP or something to be able to support it.
You already talked about this. I'm good now. You're good now? Councilor Carmichael.
Yeah, Phil, when was this transferred? A couple of years ago, 10 years ago?
Most recently, last year, I believe. It's been going back and forth.
Oh, when you said back and forth, you mean
Yeah,
back and forth?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
okay.
have to, it's a reverter every 3 years, so. Administrator Winowski was the last one to execute the title going back to the town, so.
Are you confused on that one, Steve?
I understand it because I was briefed today, but it's something I'd probably suggest we look at
Yeah.
when the third year comes up again.
No,
Discuss it with Historical
I
Society.
think it's great to have it, I just want to know the game rules.
Just clarify who the owner is at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah,
maybe
exactly.
Look at a new relationship.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Is that it, Councilor Carmichael?
yes, thanks.
Yeah, I agree with both Councilor Zink and Councilor Carmichael that we should have some more formal relationship rather than the ping pong game of who owns the Historical Society's building.
Well, title would have reverted if we didn't prevent it from reverting, so
Yeah.
it really hasn't gone back and forth. I guess I misspoke.
Okay.
So for the past 6 or 7 years, the town has owned it, yes.
But there's no
exclusively.
formal, like, document or relationship saying, we pay for this, you pay for that.
No, there isn't.
Yeah, that's something that we
That's
need to,
what we
I
need
think,
to do.
formalize.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I do think that it is, I mean, we own the building, there's asbestos in the building. It's our obligation right now as a town to ensure that our buildings are
Right.
safe, so. So the next, any other councilors' comments? So they'll come back with the best of the three bids?
Yep.
Brief us on it and have a resolution?
Yep.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much, Mr.
Good night.
Page.
work.
Next item, resolutions. There are three resolutions here. Usually, the finance director will be here to discuss them. Did he brief you, Mr. Administrator?
If you want to tag out on one of them, feel free. It's four, isn't it?
There are four resolutions.
Correct.
None of these require multiple readings. Correct?
That's correct.
We'll start with the first resolution. Town of Newmarket, New Hampshire, by the Newmarket Town Council, Resolution 2012-13-07, relating to the release of general fund surplus to reduce the tax rate by $136,000. Whereas the town of Newmarket voted to bond the construction of a new public works fire rescue squad building on May 2004 for $1,600,000, and whereas deficiencies were discovered after said vote that prevented the town council from moving forward with issuing a bond for said construction, and whereas the town moved forward with the construction by utilizing general fund cash without an appropriation by the voters, which created a fund balance reservation against general fund surplus, and whereas the town council directed the town administrator with resolution 2012-04 to include $136,000 in the town budget to reduce liability over a 10-year period until paid in full, and whereas the town council wishes to release $136,000 of general fund surplus to reduce the tax rate, which is equal to the amount raised by the annual town budget. Now therefore be it resolved, the town council does hereby release general fund surplus of $136,000 for the purpose of reducing the tax rate, given at the town council chambers this 5th day of September in the year of our Lord 2012. Discussion. Vice Chair Bentley.
I was going to make a motion, I have no discussion.
Motion.
Make a motion to adopt Resolution 2012-2013-07, relating to the release of general fund surplus to reduce the tax rate by $136,000.
Second.
Motion is second. Is there any discussion? Counselor Levy.
Just to ask the question, I think the gross was like $1.3 million or something like that. Excuse me, is there anything prohibiting us from doing more than 136, or does it have to be done, over 10 years? Just asking.
It's a good question, actually. The finance director and I were discussing that a little bit today. The $136,000 actually is to offset an expenditure in the operating budget. If you don't do the exact amount, you're going to have that additional money that you're going to be raising. We are discussing possibly asking in the future to just do a one fell swoop and get this off the books to pay it. But we believe that we need a town meeting vote to do so.
I think I maybe to answer your question a little bit more directly than that, too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go
because
ahead.
what I was just going to say is if we could get a town vote to wipe, I just want to know the ramifications.
Yeah.
If we wiped off the $1.3 million, which has clearly already been paid, what are the consequences of that? That's really my...
Yeah, so there's 1.36 million in reserved fund balance right now, where this is being held. The issue is that based on 2011-2012-04, that resolution, it actually directs the town to raise and appropriate, which requires them to gain that $136,000 through taxation, even though we already have it sitting in unreserved fund balance. So we would be pulling money in, when actually all we have to do is an accounting, say, to move a deficit to credit. So the only reason we don't do more now, this is to make sure that we don't raise taxes by $136,000. The moving from reserve fund balance to to pay this off requires town meeting. So I believe that what we discussed last meeting was do this now to make sure we don't raise taxes, and town meeting get a warrant article that allows us to net this out, and this problem goes away.
And just to answer the full question, so if we eliminated the whole thing, what is the impact? Would that have any effect if we're going to eliminate 136 from taxes and 136,000? What does the implication of if the town voted for this, if it was on a warrant article to eliminate the balance? Could we get an answer to that?
Yeah, I'll look at it, but I believe what the answer is that, one, we wouldn't have to be appropriating the $136,000 annually, so that would be off the books. And two, we have that $1.3 million in reserve fund balance that is still on our books, that is holding there, even so it looks like we have a much larger fund balance than we do, and it clears that up, and it shows an actual figure. So,
And that would be beneficial if we could do that, correct?
absolutely, and one of the big benefits also is if we have to go out for bonding for any other issues, we don't have that large debt on it.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Administrator, the vote.
Counselor Levy?
Aye.
Counselor Wright?
Aye.
Counselor Branch?
Aye.
Counselor Zink?
Aye.
Counselor Carmichael?
Aye.
Counselor Bentley?
Aye.
Chair Nazaro?
Aye, motion passes 7-0. Ms. Reagan.
In the past, they start with Council Wright. You go right from left around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that way I can figure out how to vote.
Okay.
Not a big.
Next resolution, Town of Newmarket, New Hampshire, by the Newmarket Town Council, Resolution 2012-13-08, authorize Town Administrator Stephen R. Fournier to submit and sign for grants. Whereas the Town of Newmarket has the opportunity to apply for state and federal grants, and whereas Article 5 of the Newmarket Town warrant was passed by town meeting on May 12, 1998, and whereas Stephen R. Fournier is the Town Administrator of the Town of Newmarket, and whereas Article 5 of the Newmarket Town warrant does read as follows. To see if the town shall accept the provisions of RSA 31:95B, proving that any town at an annual meeting may adopt an article authorizing indefinitely until specific rescission of such authority, the town council to apply for, accept, and expend without further action by the town meeting unanticipated money from a private source or other governmental unit or a private source which becomes available during the fiscal year. Such money shall be used only for legal purposes for which a town may appropriate money. The town council shall hold a prior public hearing on the action to be taken. Notice of the time, place, and subject of such hearing shall be published in a newspaper of general circulation at least 7 days before the hearing is held. Action to be taken under this section shall, A, not require the expenditure of any other town funds except those funds lawfully appropriated for the same purpose, and B, be exempt from all provisions of RSA 32 relative to limitation and expenditure of town monies. Now therefore be it resolved the Newmarket Town Council does hereby authorize Town Administrator Stephen R. Fournier to submit and sign for available grants in accordance with Article Number 5 of Newmarket Town Warrant, given the town, at the Town Council Chambers this 5th day of September in the year of our Lord, 2012. Councilor Levy.
Well, I got a question, so should we make a motion first before a question?
We can have discussion before, motion afterwards.
What, I was just curious, what is initiating this? Has the time run out since '98, or can we not apply for grants now, or?
So he can sign them.
It's so
Oh,
I
it's
can
just so
sign.
you can do it.
Right.
It
The
has
council
nothing-
needs to authorize me to sign.
Okay,
Remember, we did it for Chief Sear.
okay, thank you.
Vice Chair Bentley. Chief Sear.
Make a motion to accept Resolution 2012-2013-08, authorize Town Administrator Stephen R. Fournier to submit and sign for grants.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there discussion? Seeing no discussion, Mr. Administrator.
Counselor Wright?
Aye.
Counselor Levy?
Aye.
Counselor Branch?
Aye.
Counselor Zink?
Aye.
Counselor Carmichael?
Aye.
Counselor, I'm sorry, I got the wrong order. Counselor
This is a test.
Aye. Counselor Nazaro?
Aye, motion passes 7-0.
On the fourth vote of the night, we start on the right.
I'm not gonna remember that.
Except an odd number case. Do you want to read the next one there, Vice Chair?
Yeah. Which is the next one?
It's,
Newmarket Town of Newmarket, New Hampshire, by the Newmarket Town Council, Resolution 2012-13-10, relating to the appropriation of $50,000 from wastewater department surplus to the wastewater legal capital reserve fund. Whereas the Newmarket Town Council adopted Resolution 2011-12-21 on March 21st, 2012, relating to the establishment of a wastewater legal capital reserve fund from the wastewater department surplus as provided in RSA 35-1V, and whereas the wastewater department has retained legal services for discussions with Environmental Protection Agency related to the draft National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System Permit in PDES, and whereas RSA 35-1V provides for the establishment of a capital reserve fund for financing extraordinary legal fees and expenses relating to the present and foreseeable litigation involved in the town, and whereas RSA 35-7 provides that said fund would be financed principally by sewer rentals, which shall be established only from surplus sewer rentals, and no part therefore shall be made from appropriations by the town, and whereas the amount requested to be appropriated to the wastewater legal capital reserve fund is $50,000, and whereas the wastewater surplus fund has a balance of $168,304.50 as of June 2012. Now therefore it be resolved that the Newmarket Town Council does hereby approve $50,000 appropriation from the wastewater surplus fund to the wastewater legal capital reserve fund, given at the Town Council chambers this 5th day of September in the year of our Lord 2012.
Second.
Is there wasn't a
Oh.
motion. Is there, do you
Sorry.
want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the, hold on, let me get to the top of it. The Resolution 2012-13-10 relating to the appropriation of $50,000 from wastewater department surplus to the wastewater legal capital reserve fund.
Second.
Motion and second. Is there discussion? I have a question, if Sean might be able to answer it. $168,304.50 as of June. Is that the current figure, or is that just the most current figure that we have?
That's the most current figure they would give me.
Okay. This is to go, one follow-up, is this to go to previous expenses or
This is
projected future?
This is to go for previous expenses.
Thank you.
And, well, the 50,000 is to go, 45,000 in the next resolution will go to the previous expenses. There'll be a little money on top of that will go into the fund
This
to
50
keep
You have
it.
to do the 50 in order to do the 45.
Correct.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Administrator, the vote.
Counselor Wright?
Aye.
Counselor Levy?
Aye.
Counselor Branch?
Aye.
Counselor Zink?
Aye.
Counselor Carmichael?
Aye.
Counselor Bentley?
Aye.
Counselor Nazaro?
Aye. Motion passes 7-0. The last one?
Sure. Town of Newmarket, New Hampshire, by the Newmarket Town Council, Resolution 2012-13-11, relating to the withdrawal of $45,781.02 from the Legal Capital Reserve Fund. Whereas the Newmarket Town Council adopted Resolution 2011-2012-21 relating to the establishment of a wastewater legal capital reserve fund from the wastewater department surplus as provided in RSA 35-1V, and whereas the wastewater legal capital reserve fund balance is $63,710.24, whereas the town has incurred $45,781.02 in legal costs associated with the wastewater department's draft NPDES permit. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town council does hereby approve the withdrawal of $45,781.02 from the wastewater department legal capital reserve fund to pay for the current expenses. Given at the town council chambers this 5th day of September in the year of our Lord, 2012.
I'll entertain a motion. Councilor LaBranche.
Make a motion to adopt Resolution 2012-2013-11 relating to the withdrawal of $45,781.02 from the legal capital reserve fund.
Second.
Motion is second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Administrator, the vote.
Counsel Wright?
Aye.
Counsel Levy?
Aye.
Counsel LaBranche?
Aye.
Counsel Zink?
Aye.
Counsel Carmichael?
Aye.
Counsel Bentley?
Aye.
Counsel Nazaro?
Aye. Motion passes 7-0. Number 4, old new business. Anyone have any old or new business to share with the council? Vice Chair Bentley.
I had a couple questions and emails today, and when I didn't see it on the calendar, I know the chair just told me, people were asking about the Heritage Fest, and there is a date?
22nd.
It's the 22nd. Saturday, the 22nd is the Heritage Fest, so it's not on the calendar, but anyway, Saturday, 22nd is the Heritage Fest.
Just one day this year, then?
I don't know, I haven't,
The sign I saw, I mean, the sign I saw was one day this year.
Saturday.
Yes, Saturday, 22nd. Any other old new business? Councilor Branch.
I don't know how to start this off, but we spoke a while ago about our agendas being driven by town council goals and objectives. This evening, we spent 3 minutes on it. And those 3 minutes were basically spent with the town administrator suggesting that there may be some new goals and objectives. And this is what I have found in the past is part of the problem. We keep adding to the goals and objectives without completing the ones that we've got. Simple things, and I'll draw this one out because I asked a question at the last meeting in reference to insurance, because we've had presenters here for insurance for the town side, basically telling us that there's 100,000 plus that we're leaving on the table. I'll be surprised to find out that we've had the conversations with the employees and with the police union at this point, and I had suggested that that get done at the last meeting. So I'm just having a difficult time understanding exactly what the goals and objectives are of this council.
Councilor Zink, are you adding something to this?
My comment was on moving the medical insurance forward.
Okay. I don't want to make assumptions, but whether or not what you said is factually accurate, whether or not the town employees have been, I probably would err with you and say they probably is true that they haven't been told. I think, I don't want to make excuses, but having a full-time town administrator is going to assist in that. I also have shared a potential format with the new town administrator as to how I'd like us to see us briefed every business meeting on the status of the goals and what actions have been taken over the last 30 days since our last business meeting. So he has a format, not just for the goals, but department reports, so that every business meeting we're getting some form in. It was just a suggestion. I can't direct the administrator, but we're going to be receiving some form of formalized report briefing on actions that have taken our goals, actions that we're taking over the next month, and status of departments to include budgetary status every month. It's, yes, I mean, that's where it is right now. But I agree, we can't let loose of the goals. We end up getting sidetracked. You're absolutely right. Vice Chair Bentley.
Yeah, I just don't want Councilor Branch to look like he's on an island. Councilor Zink's brought it up before. A lot of us have brought it up before. I agree. The last couple of years, we've had a lot of other hot issues that come up, and I think we'll never get away from that. Whether it's the dam or the EPA or the wastewater or the school, whatever. There's always going to be other things that take precedent. We got really nowhere with most of them. I did see some of the stuff today. I think it's, certainly with a full-time person here now, and I saw some of the structure today that you guys are looking to do. So I think things will get better, and we just have to kind of gut check ourselves and make sure we are. Anyway, I just wanted to back Councilor Branch up.
Councilor Levy.
I think we could be much more efficient if the information, we're given has been thoroughly vetted by the town administrator. For example, the insurance we were given, initially it was supposed to be, we were going to be self-insuring the deductible, which I can't remember because it's so long ago, but I think it was going from $250 to either $1,000 or $750. I just can't remember the exact number. I had some questions about those numbers, but we never really got to that discussion. Then they came in that night, handed us out some information, and the last I heard, and I had requested that the information be given to us in the same format that the first one was given to us. And the last thing I recall was the insurance, we were going to self-insure. It was moving from just self-insuring the deductible difference to self-insuring the plan. And I guess the point I'm making, last year we spent a lot of time on the town hall renovation. And we weren't really given all the information we needed to make a decision, and that dragged on for almost 3 months. And the insurance came up, I'm guessing, maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. And I haven't seen anything updated since the meeting where we were handed that information at the end of the night, meaning just before they came in. I don't even think it was on the agenda to discuss that night, but it doesn't really matter to my point, which is if they have a plan that makes sense, it should be, for lack of a better word, bulletproof. It should be accurate. It should be vetted properly, so we can then take a look at it, make a determination as to whether or not it makes sense for us to do or not, and move on. And I could say the same thing with respect to Pru Oil. We were given a proposal, same timeline, a couple of so months ago. It was to convert one of the cruisers. Questions came up. Is the cruiser going to have insurance? Is it not going to have insurance? Initially, the chief said we wouldn't have insurance and it would negate the insurance. Then I think the gentleman from Pru Oil came in and said, well, the insurance will be okay, it'll be covered. And again, it was sort of a loose end that was never tied up at the end. And I'm using these as examples not to criticize anybody or any entity in particular, more as a factual example of things that are given to us. We can't address it because there's too many loose ends, and then we wait or request more information. The information either doesn't get to us for the meeting, or it gets to us during the meeting, or it's a little different format, or there's whatever. And that's, I think if we could just sort of tie that up, we would be able to move forward with goals and things we want to do a lot faster than we've been doing it. Just my 2 cents.
Town Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I hear what everyone's saying, and first I do apologize about the goals. I just didn't have all the information for this one. I'll try to get the information on the health insurance. To make sure that we're completing the goals, and even smaller things, one of the things, my philosophy is that nothing should be presented to the council unless it has a recommendation, and it's a final product. So I don't believe in giving information that night unless there's some strange circumstance that new information came up that evening. By the time it comes to the council, it should be a final packet with a recommendation from a department head and a recommendation from the town administrator, and then the council can vote to see what's best. I completely agree with the vetting. We should be doing the vetting way before it gets to the council level, so you have a final packet so you can make the policy decisions. And we're going to work with all the department heads and the staff and the public, because the public also, when they want to bring in things to the council, there are going to be times where I'm going to send people away because it may not be a complete packet and they're ready to come to the council. So I just want to let everybody know that is a big process for me, and I don't want to waste the council's time, I don't want to waste the public time, and I don't want to waste staff time unless we have a final product and we can get a yay or nay at the end.
I've been trying, my
Trying to
light,
hit it, okay.
my light hasn't been
There you
working.
go.
I totally agree with Council Levy. I think it's, we get things in a mismatch. I do want to make a correction, though, on a comment that you made about there was a proposal for us to self-insure medical insurance. That has never been made. There has never been a proposal to self-insure on medical insurance during this entire discussion. It's been a proposal to self-insure the deductible. They changed the deductible because they went to the insurance company and found out they wouldn't offer rates. But I don't want anyone to think this has been a self-insurance program.
So-
It never has.
Before this goes into a back and forth about the veracity of what was spoken of the insurance, I think we know insurance is something that's still out there. Town administrator is going to get us a vetted packet as to what the status is on
Totally.
insurance, what it
Yeah.
is, and we will make a decision based on that. Councilor Bentley had something. Are you trying to respond? There, thank
Well, no, I wanted,
you.
Just-
He's got something there.
Just, Mr. Administrator, there was some correspondence today, and you're going to have a policy of 4 days, 4 business days that we see stuff, right? And I think that's something we all kind of toyed and echoed with, and I think it's,
That actually is a council rule,
okay.
so.
And that's out there now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that was there, too. I think that'll help, you know, let's face it, we haven't had anyone in the seat in full-time, and I think that the 4-day rule will also help a lot, so I think we're in the right direction.
Councilor Levy.
yeah, not in the spirit of going back, because I don't want to do that, that the last handout we got, it was really quick. And I heard something about we weren't going to just do the deductible. Now, maybe I misheard or that wasn't the case. That's fine. While we're on the subject and while you're going to be looking at this, it might be worth taking a look at, just, I don't know if this was the appropriate time or not, but, you know, maybe a good, better, best, or a couple of options within the plan, since we're looking at actually doing this. I don't know if it's feasible or not, but, you know, it may be something that we can offer a policy that's a, you know, good quality policy, and then if people want to go up to a, just for sake of making a point, a POS plan out of normal system, et cetera, they can pay the difference or whatever. Just since we're looking at it, we might as well look at every option that we have available, and I don't see any reason why they couldn't possibly do that, just as a thought. So, but I think the larger point just is, if we get good information, we may not be able to make a determination that night, but we'll be a lot further ahead of the curve than we've been for the last, since I've been on the council.
Not having vetted information and not having timely and standardized format, and there's 1,000 things that just really all gets back to what Councilor Zink brought up about the whole Hydra thing, is not wanting to see dragged out over, like, not do due diligence, but not drag something out over a long time. And really what Councilor Branch started this conversation with, which is absolutely right, is that we continually lose focus of our goals because we don't see how what we're talking about is connected to one of our goals. So we end up with agendas just full of things as opposed to actions that are supporting what our goals are. So we need to become a finely oiled machine about that. We're a board, I think we can. We're a board of directors. We have a CEO who is a world-class caliber CEO. We know it. We're the ones that brought him on. So we know it. World what? World-class caliber CEO. But then we can act as the board of directors that we should be. So, Councilor Levy.
You know, somebody came up to me
Missing
tonight, just on that point, and said, "Are you voting on Water Street or whatever tonight, or Church Street?" You know, and I said, "I don't know. Ask Phil, or ask Chairman Nazaro." And you know, that's it's just sort of a microcosm. I mean, we started talking about that, I'm going to guess, 2 months ago.
No, October of 2011.
All right, well, but I mean, okay, you're right. Well, that was when we began it, but I mean, we didn't really get serious about changing it because we had heard, and you know, when we finally discuss that and people come in and have a comment, we should have Rick Malasky, we should have the chief, they should weigh in, and then we can make you know, a logical determination. That just hasn't been happening for a long time. I think the point's been made.
Any other old new business? Vice Chair Bentley, go ahead.
No, motion to adjourn.
Oh. The next meeting is September 19th, workshop, 7 o'clock. There's a motion adjourned in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much, councilors. Motion, or we sit adjourned.